Good evening. Welcome back to Expat Insights. We are on the second section of the show about success and failure, and our guest, Mr. Mohan Phadke, is right now in the chair of the guest. I'd like to make a little correction. Mohan is not faculty of AIM now. Mohan is a former student, and he was on the board of trustees. He was also a member of the Alumni Association of AIM in India for the longest time. He's not an expat or an immigrant in the Philippines. He comes here a dozen times a year. And so he knows Philippines and India very well. So let's talk to him about a little bit about himself and about the concept of failure. Mohan, doctor, no, not doctor, right?
No.
Mr. Mohan Phadke, welcome to Expat Insights. And
Thank you.
Tell us a bit about yourself, sir.
Obviously born in India.
Yeah. Okay.
Long time back.
Yeah.
Did my rounds in education. Fortunate to be educated in the English medium and the rest of it. My basic qualifications being an engineer and a postgraduate engineering from Carnegie Mellon. Did my corporate round of almost 38 years.
Wow, in India. In
India.
This is in the 60s and 70s.
Started with 70s, you know, 70 to be more precise. Tata's. Telco, which is now Tata Motors.
Yeah.
Then the Tata Group, the DuPont as a joint venture. So
three large companies.
Yeah, three large. You know, very fortunate to be associated.
Yeah.
And of course, the change that occurred as my sabbatical in AIM Manila,
which was in
1979, and
31 years ago.
31 years ago. It feels like yesterday.
Okay.
That's the spirit of this country and the attraction of AIM.
Right, yeah.
And I have been continuing to be associated with AIM in different capacities as an alumni head of the Global Alumni Association.
Global, not just the Indian.
No,
okay.
India, of course, I was there for 12 years.
No.
But it's the greatness of the institution that it gives importance to the alumni. We invite the alumni global head to be on the board of trustees. And that's where I was, and I continued for almost...
How long was this?
Oh, almost for 11 years in different capacities. And I have been associated with AIM in a way from Indian side, trying to bring in as much as possible closeness of Indo-Philippine relationship, business, delegations. I've been hosting every, you know it, and you know, as when you were a chairman of your Philippine India Council, we hosted you in Delhi, in Mumbai, and I think I've hosted every visit of FER, including his first state visit.
Which was in 91?
March 4th, 1997. I can't forget
97,
that.
not 91?
No, 97. That was the first state visit.
Delegation of Philippines.
Of any Philippine president.
1997. So in the years that you have been shuttling back and forth from India to Philippines and working to bring India and Philippines closer together, how close have they come in the years?
I think we both were looking at West, so there's no blaming anybody.
Both countries, India?
Yes. This is a underlining cause.
Correct.
But now things have changed, and we are both looking towards East. So it helps in looking at each other. The geography doesn't change, but the mindset changes slowly.
Yeah, I meant spiritual closeness, of course.
That's one. I think the economic changes that have been brought out by bringing in ASEAN and India become a guest member of ASEAN has changed a lot.
Yeah.
And so you find from one company that was there in Philippines, the Birla Group, now we got several of them here. And I'm very happy to say that even Philippine kind of joint ventures have started into
putting
India.
up companies in India. Any examples of...
there is, just recently I came to know, I was not aware of it, there is a software company, Software Incorporated. It's based in Mumbai. Two Stanford students have got together. One of them is Filipino, and they're doing software work. And they are, I believe, here for some work with one of the universities here.
Ayala and Mahindra have partnered.
Those are the real big ones. Have just come in. Ayala has partnered with Mahindra, and I must say there is an AIM alumnus who was the first Philippine investor into India as a joint venture. That was Marian Santiago.
Who is that?
She was in a...
Marian is a girl?
Yeah, very much.
No, I thought Marion.
No. Marian and her sister Joyce, they were both the Pocket Bell company owners.
Oh, during the days of the pager.
That's
correct. Do they still use them in India?
No, just like inside the corporations we have, sometimes. But they were the first joint venture, investors into India. So there is a bit of a history that can be always stretched and, expanded. Wow. And I think there's a lot of future now. A lot of commonality between the education is one of them, which is growing. And that's one reason why I get attached.
Mohan, before we go into the subject matter of failure, this is for my personal sake. I'd like to understand how AIM has changed and how Indian institutions, which are now really getting a good reputation over the years, what created this and where does AIM stand and how is AIM today, 31 years hence, 31 years from the time that you were a student there?
I must say that AIM, with its position that of dominance in the Asian region that has been there.
It still is. Yeah.
And well, it's growing, but it's not grown in a manner that I would have liked to see with campuses of AIM all over in Asia, or at least in a few countries.
That hasn't happened.
That hasn't happened.
Right.
I'm very sure in the next 10 years or 5 years plans, AIM will be seen with brick and mortar in certain areas, and perhaps we had our own small areas of constraints and outlook. But as far as the product of AIM is still very good, it's very well respected, and there is no doubt about it.
No doubt about it.
And a lot goes to the faculty and a lot goes to the people behind it in terms of board and trustees and the kind of interaction that is there.
I hope they are listening to this.
Oh yeah, I will make sure that they
do. AIM, ladies and gentlemen, is Asian Institute of Management, if some of you may not know that. And now let's take this comparison to IIM, which is the Indian Institute of Management, which has become really popular over the years. What are they doing differently compared to AIM?
Firstly, AIM has been a private investment institute.
Right.
It's not a government of Philippines institute.
Oh, okay.
So that's fundamental.
Right.
IIMs, that is the Indian Institute of Management, which was started
way
back
by
in
the ministry,
India, has been 100% government of India promoted, invested, and I won't say managed, but yes, the board is heavily on the government of India side.
Right.
It's only very recently, very recently, last 2 years, the structure has allowed it to charge its own kind of fees, earn a little more from their own aid. There is a kind of a revenue expenses kind of a analysis done. So it's changing a little.
Right.
Fundamentally, we never had foreign students admitted into this because there was like a bylaw.
Right.
And so these were the fundamental difference between AIM and AIM was 100% from day one international by a decree of the President of the Philippines.
By the culture of it,
I know, by legal
by the decree.
And IIMs never had that.
So today, where is IIM in terms of size, in terms of output and performance? How many graduates are they churning out every year? Because Indians, I see running them all across the world with little laptop bags, and they're all coming from IIM. You see a guy with a laptop at the airport, he's from IIM. Well, so how many people are they?
Well, we started with 3 IIMs, almost 2, and then the third one came and was in Bangalore. IIM Ahmedabad and IIM Calcutta were the first, and then IIM Bangalore much later. Now, of course, we got many more. It's almost 10 now. And, well, that's just in the last few years.
10 institutes?
Yeah, it's in the last few years. But that's just in the last few years. The 3 remain for a number of years. No, that number is growing. There's no question about it. Almost about 3,000 to 4,000 will be churned out every year in different capacities.
These are postgraduates.
MBA, equivalent MBA.
Wow. Mohan, now you are here to give us insights on the subject matter of failure. So the floor is yours. Come into failure from any direction you want. You want to hold the tail of failure and tell me what you mean. What is it that you want to put across about failure?
Well, this is a subject has fascinated me because during my professional career, I have been trained in a manner to look at things very little differently because of my long tenure with Tatas, who have been known for a certain kind of governance and certain kind of operations.
Right.
So we look at things a little different, so that comes naturally to me. Let me define failure. It's a good thing to define, you know.
Well, you hold the Wikipedia. My former guest did not hold the Wikipedia.
Well, I love to define first something.
Go ahead,
so the Webster says, a fact of not matching hopes or expectations.
A fact of not matching hopes or expectations. Okay.
That's failure.
That's failure. So, for example, if I want to finish the show in 45 minutes and I finish it in 60, I fail.
Yes.
My expectations, at least my expectations.
Yes,
okay.
That's right. Success is a degree or measure. So again, there is that element of judgment. Degree or measure of attaining a desired end. So, you know, it's not something like a go, no go. The definitions is not go, no go. You know, like it's not 4 feet or 5 feet. But yes, a lot of, now, depends on who looks at success. I would rather look at success and failure with how and not with what.
Oh.
Yeah. I'll say how you achieve success is much more important than what you have achieved in success. You can achieve $1 billion.
Hang on. First, let me get clarity on the degree of success.
Yes.
What does that mean? That means if I finish the show in 45 minutes and still, again, it's my own perspective, my feeling towards how I finish it, that would be the measure of my success, or the fact that I finished in 45 minutes?
I think you have to apply that as how first. Have you achieved that?
Okay, the quality of the discussion.
What you had desired at the end, have you achieved that?
Okay, not the measurable facts.
Not the measurable facts. See, the very simple comparison is quarterly results of Wall Street is one success.
Okay.
Right? And Saddam would have some success in numbers.
Well, not in my book of opinions, but
you know, you got numbers, right?
Yeah.
But it's more important whether that is what you are going to be measuring and taking it as how.
Okay,
right? And the same I like to apply with failure, and therefore I have a common word for it. It's how you embrace failure. It's a kind of a funny word. It's a how you embrace failure.
Embrace is hug.
Literally.
Right.
How you embrace failure and how you embrace success will really define what you're going to, you know, talk about.
Make it real for me.
Okay. Let's
paint the picture.
Paint the picture. Let me give you an example.
Yes,
because that's the best way to, you know. My favorite, you know, corporate leader or whatever you call him is Sir Richard Branson.
Virgin Atlantic.
Virgin Atlantic. Right. He believes in screw it, let's do it. That's his autobiography.
He believes in screw it.
Yeah, that's his title of his book.
Screw it,
let's do it. That sounds strange, but that's exactly what he is, and he's a great personality. Now, he has all the ingredients of a family life and upbringing. His mother, a great hero for, I mean, he's really follows his mother last year. Now, he would also see certain aspects of ego
involved in his endeavors.
Now, this ego is a funny word. You look at it, ego purely with arrogance, you will end up in certain path. Now, look at his ego. His ego, he wants to achieve something that nobody has and pioneer. But at the same time, he always has kept in mind how many people are getting affected. Those who helped him are getting affected. Those dear ones who are his shareholders, whatever it may be, he comes back into that. And a good example is, he wanted to be the person to cross the Atlantic on a balloon.
He did it? Did he do it?
Yes.
Okay, I don't know about that.
He failed for the first time. Then he went through the exercise of what all went wrong, got himself trained into balloon flying and all that, and he did it again.
Just like what Miss Ifland was saying a while ago. So he adapted. He failed once, he learned from it and adapted,
And the same thing he applied when he wanted to do what is a well-known race, blue ribbon, which is when you cross the Atlantic in a boat, a power boat. Well, he did that.
He participated there.
And just out of Mako, he did it, and he failed the very first time. What he learnings from there, in 6 years, he said, no, I must give it back to all those people who had faith in me to make sure that I go through this, I must give it back to them. So he, in 6 years' time, he succeeded. The purpose is how. Now, if that ego was of arrogance in him, it's due to the bad weather, it's due to the thing like that, you stop there. And you start blaming. That's what happens in Wall Street. Every quarter, if there is something else, somebody else. So that ego which you have, if you look at that ego with passion and service to the people or your people who have helped you, that ego is far from arrogance, and it helps you to understand failure.
So yesterday at LaSalle, I heard another consultant talk about focusing in and focusing out. So you're saying similar, that a consultant at LaSalle was talking about focusing out would guarantee more success?
Provided it matches what you want inside.
What you want inside. So
if
congruence and authenticity.
And if it doesn't, you are into a gray area.
Now that's good for the individual, me. Ego one. How about a larger group of people? How about an organization? How about a community, a country that succeeds? Mr. Plan was saying Philippines is succeeding, but yet it doesn't appreciate its own success.
That's correct.
So what about the country? How does a country live up to its ego?
I have a very good example of none other than your own country here.
Which is Philippines.
Philippines. And
India.
Absolutely. An example that I cherish and I really worship him. FVR.
Mr. Ramos,
A classic example of adaptive leadership.
This was 10 years ago.
Well, I think he was there from day one in this process. Whether he was in the armed forces, AFP, or the Philippine Constabulary, and I'm sure you people are more familiar with than me, he never budged from his very fundamentals. And that is to maintain the constitutional and the proper process. And he laid stress on it. Whether he was dealing with the armed forces personnel or he had to deal with the constitutional elements of political, he always maintained that part of it. And he never hesitated taking that hard step where it demanded, because he had options, various options to get away with it. And one of the big reasons why I feel that Philippines has this and they should nurture this
power
right there. It's good to achieve success and power, but it's the most difficult thing to give it away and step down. If you have in principle agreed, and FDR did that.
So you're saying that even if it was a community or a country, it still is individual driven, leadership driven.
Leadership. You can't get away with it.
So
it does. Now take the example of Tatas that I can't help coming back into it.
That's your
that's your my DNA.
Your DNA. Tata, ladies and gentlemen, by the way, is the company that makes the biggest amount of cars and trucks in India. That's the company that's making the most smallest car in the world today. The Nano.
That's what I was going to come to.
All
right. You talk of governance, you talk of good practices, etc. There's a whole lot of literature being moved around. At Tata's, there was no such thing. It was a way of life. Even when I came back and joined straight away from US in that company, there was no handout that you don't bribe, you don't do this, nothing. You're into it, you suddenly start feeling the waves. That if you don't, you're out of place. And that's one thing very important, that these kind of practices and things are best learned when they are natural and not thrust upon, because they don't last. The Cadbury reports and governance of every kind of thing, they don't last, because they last only to the balance sheet, nothing beyond that. Similarly at Tata's, when we learned, how we learned from our failures, there were failures. Of course there were failures. We wanted to get into the car kind of passenger vehicle, there was a pickup design, it failed. So that was, we learned from there, how we improved on it. Come 2001, in the history of Telco, we never had these kind of losses. We went into almost 5 billion loss. It was not so much of the numbers that was hurting, the pride of everyone got hurt.
The ego got
hurt. And the ego could have been differently hurt. Hey, this is bad. It's not our fault, it's the government. No, every person resounded differently, and it turned around in 2 years, because that was a passion. Similarly, there were 3 other car companies, and they took it at arrogance, their ego,
So their
or
reaction was different.
nobody is better than us, kind of. They are nowhere now. So, question is, when you look at the ego and want to convert it in a passion, and that's what gave Nano to the whole world. Why? Because there was a passion in Mr. Ratan Tata when he saw a family on a motorcycle. Why can't we give them
a solution? Mohan, Mohan, we need to wrap up this interview.
Right.
Yeah, we're up with the time. So if there's anything you want to tell the Filipino audience that's watching about your experiences quickly, anything that I've forgotten to ask you, this is your moment, and that's your camera over there, Mohan.
Well, it's my second home, so I will always say, come home to India. Look at India as your true partner in every aspect of life, and I cannot say more than that, because that is my real feeling as Filipinos are concerned. And you are most welcome to exchange your views and your practices with us, and I can assure you it will never be lasting from us.
Mabuhay po, Mr. Mohan Phadke.
Namaskar.
Welcome to the
Namaskar.
Philippines. So thank you for your insights. So ladies and gentlemen, that was Miss Andrea Ifland and Mr. Mohan Phadke talking to us about success and failure. Next week on Expat Insights, we will have Master Del Pay, who is world-renowned for his spirituality. He's a Filipino, and we'll have him here next week. And I'd also like to plug my book launch, which happens on September 3 at Fully Book Surrender. See you there, and good night and mabuhay.